A lot of people are not very well informed about genetically modified foods. So I wanted to make this video and talk a bit about a specific problem here, which is genetic pollution. For those who don't want to listen to everything, I just want to summarize this very shortly. It's basically like this: the genetically modified crops which are on the market right now and growing on the fields are very unstable. They are manufactured kind of old school style in such a way that the DNA in the seeds are not very stable. It's around 2 to 4% DNA difference between the crops which we used to know and the genetically modified ones. It's so big that it will lead to the extinction of organic crops, which we know also, and it will monopolize the seeds in favor of the GMO companies which are producing the GMO seeds. Now, I wouldn't have anything against it if it were healthy, but as we will see and explain in this movie, there's a lot of consequences when DNA changes of a plant in such a degree as this. So first of all, bear with me while I try to explain this. I basically just prepared this on the train. I wrote some things on paper. It's a train of thought which I will follow here. So first of all, where are the crops right now? Since like 20 years ago, they started in America kinda with corn and soya. It went to Canada. In India, there's a history of genetically modified cotton fields. So it kind of went around the world. There's also places in Europe where they're growing the same type of corn crops they used to grow 15 years ago in the States. More specifically Spain, Germany, and they used to do it in France. Now, why are these things bad for us? First of all, you need to know how they make it. So the method of insertion of the current crops which we know is like this. It's kind of an old process. They take the genes of a natural pesticide, so it's basically a plant which produces a natural pesticide. They take out that gene and they make the gene resistant to some certain types of antibiotics, and they put some promoters on the gene so that it reproduces itself non-stop 24/7. The goal is to put this manufactured altered gene into another species, another plant, another corn seed. So they kind of bombard the thing, and after that they put antibiotics again, and the cells which survive have the genetically modified gene inside because it was made resistant to antibiotics. So that's how they do it, and it's not so precise as you can imagine. It's old also, and the consequence is that there is a 2 to 4% DNA change in the seed. It has been tested, and it means actually that some DNA is lost, a minority. Most of the genes get either promoted, which means that you get more of a certain type of gene, or other ones get dumbed down a bit and you get less of them. So this and it's a random process, so you always get a unique different seed. Now, it wouldn't be bad if it would be a very minor issue, but 2 to 4% is quite big if you think that we are only 2% difference from a chimpanzee. So the seeds which are growing there, they have a very big change in properties of the crop and in the way they interact with other plants. If from an evolutionary point of view, such a big change in DNA is not possible in a natural way, and the plants which depend on certain crops and animals, and we also we cannot deal with this kind of changes. So the way you see this is that the enzymes of the genetically modified plants are different in such a way that they don't bind anymore with the enzymes which our body used to digest the food with, and this causes all kinds of side effects, from allergies to cell growth, cancer. It could be that the plant just has an inconsistency in ingredients, so whatever you make out of it will be always a little bit different. And they also measured sterilization with mice, rats and monkeys. The third generation is completely sterilized. That's a Russian guy who discovered this. Now, these are quite some big side effects, I would say. And the big problem is the pollution. There is no way to prevent this in the future, as the crops are already growing. I will come back to that later. Now, what happened in the countries where they put the genetically modified crops? First of all, in India, they did it with cotton fields. They made a nice propaganda about it, and lots of small to mid-sized farmers, they were immediately like, wow, we need this, and they bought the seed and the pesticide which goes along with it. And unfortunately there it was not a big success. They had like 70% of yields of profits, 70% of what they had before with the normal organic foods. Somehow from the first year already the larvae, so the very larvae which used to eat the cotton field, the exact reason why they bought this genetically modified cotton field is so that it wouldn't do that, and they were already resistant after 1 year. So also the roots of the plants had a lot of diseases. They had root diseases, so basically the roots were black and hollow and the plants died off. Very strange there. Now the way this could happen is that so the plants are designed to resist a certain natural pest, to 24 hours a day non-stop produce a natural pesticide, which I explained earlier, but they are also designed to resist a homebred pesticide which exists already for 50 years. So most companies have pesticides like this, and they make it so that the seeds are also resistant to that homemade pesticide. So the way the farmers do the plants is they put the seeds in the ground. After 2 weeks they put the homebred pesticide killer, which they used to use before too, but now they use a lot more, so that it kills basically everything on the soil except the plant, genetically modified plant, which is resistant to it. So this is something additional to that. Now the reason they had these problems in India was because of genetic pollution. Like 70% of the fields were GMO after a year, and 30% was organic. So the organic plants kind of mingle with the non-GMO plants, and you get all kinds of side effects, just like you have when mammals eat the food from GM crops. So you have to imagine a big DNA change, and the genes get exchanged and the pollens get exchanged. You get all kinds of, like they say sometimes, Frankenstein plants. And one of the side effects, if you don't use enough of the homebred pesticide, is that it doesn't kill enough of the natural environment, and the GMO crop is not left alone, and it kind of mingles with Mother Nature and gets bad. Now it's also the other way around, obviously. The GM crop pollutes the normal organic foods too, so it was not a good year for India, that one. This went on for 2-3 years, and there were so many suicides, more than they already used to have from the way they treat the land. Now, without homebred pesticide, which kind of kills everything, you can't really use these GMO seeds. So you really have to buy the seed, and you have to buy the homebred pesticide, or you're fucked and it won't grow at all. The reason they made these plants resistant to homebred pesticides is for convenience. In America, for instance, where they didn't really have this problem, they have huge fields of corn, and they put huge amounts of pesticides over it, and everything is like just the corn, you know. They go over with the machine, it's done, you know. And you could, a lot of people think, oh, that's nice, it's fast, it's big, this is the solution for starvation, but you should know better now with all the consequences. And you should also know that these lands are being deprived from their nutritional values, and they are left alone after 3 to 4 years, and then they go on to the next field of land. And the land before, you know, in Africa, for instance, they do this a lot. They just take some land, they grow some corn on it for 3 years, and they leave it, and it turns into some kind of a desert, and it's done, you know. Something which used to be working out for thousands of years in nature, well, we can destroy it in such a simple way. Now, in America, what's the problem there? Actually, you have a lot of pollution. Organic farmers are struggling to keep their fields non-GMO, and on top of that, GMO companies, especially on the big fields in Canada, for instance, they go and look around in your field, they take some samples, and they find pollution. They find their own seeds. Why? Because they are just blowing with the wind, 2 kilometers, 4 kilometers, even till Mexico. And then they sue you for patent infringement because you used their seeds without them knowing. Of course not, because they blew from another farm. So this is something which is done a lot. And in Mexico they had so much variation of mice, like 150 sorts of variations, and they're all gone now. People have basically, they do it with the eye there. They don't have the technology to, well, nobody has the technology to resist GMO crops. That's the whole point. That's why I'm so sad that Europe too, they have allowed the same crops, the same corn crops in Germany, especially in Spain and a bit in France, and that's just a victory for them. As soon as they can start polluting the environment with GMO crops, it's just a matter of time, because the organic ones kind of don't grow that good anymore, and also farmers have to go the GMO way. Okay, this is kind of it. I still had some notes here. First of all, you should remember that before this we had the mega fields of big crops, which is also not good because it depletes the soil. You kind of give nothing back to the soil, and it all starts with the soil and with the dirt and in the ground, the plants. If you take that away with pesticides, there's no way you can have a sustainable future, and you can have food enough for the whole world. So it's just contradictory. Then most of the seed banks are sold to the same companies who have GMO crops, and I'm talking about big amounts of money and big giant seed banks and seed companies here in the Netherlands. They're all bought by the same company. You can guess which one. The GMO crops, the GMO corporations also, they are not agriculture-like. They have a chemical background. They already have patents on plants which grow on aluminium. Some people are not fine with that, because the European Commission will might sign rules that they can put aluminium oxide in the air to compete with global warming, so-called global warming, which would kind of make us a bit more Alzheimer-like, or, well, basically the plants won't grow that good anymore. So that's all settled a long time ago. These companies have a lot of ties with the government. I already talked about sterilization in mice, rats and monkeys. You can find that also. This I can't read anymore. They're experimenting with seedless plants, especially with trees. Imagine trees which can't reproduce anymore. It's horrible. With animals. Basically, I'm going to leave it with this, because I see I have almost 15 minutes. If you want some links, some information, just put it in the comments. Okay, bye.